That night, I closed my eyes, thinking it would be just another ordinary sleep. But the moment the blanket settled over me, I felt it, a presence, invisible yet intimate, brushing against my skin. My body froze, torn between fear and a heat I couldn't explain. I remember that night too clearly, as if it had been carved into my skin. I had gone to bed late, exhausted, and yet strangely restless. The lamp on my nightstand painted the room in that dim teal glow, the kind of light that makes shadows look alive. I buried my face into the pillow, my body stretching out across the mattress, one leg bent, the other slipping free from the blanket. My shirt had ridden up slightly as I shifted, exposing more than I realized. At first, it was nothing more than silence, the hum of the night, the faint sound of a car in the distance, the breeze against the curtain. But then the air grew heavier. It wasn't the kind of weight you notice with your mind. It was something your body feels before your brain catches up. My skin prickled, my chest tightened. I didn't need to open my eyes to know. I wasn't alone. The first touch was so light I almost convinced myself it wasn't real. A faint pressure at the back of my calf, moving slowly upward, deliberate, patient. My breath hitched, and I pressed my face deeper into the pillow, afraid of what I might see if I looked. Still, the touch continued, grazing along my thigh, pausing as though whoever, or whatever, was there, was deciding its next move. Every instinct screamed to pull away, but my body betrayed me. I felt myself lean into it, the warmth, the strange gentleness, even as my pulse hammered in terror. I wanted to believe it was a dream, a trick of my exhausted mind. But the shift of the mattress beneath me told another story. Something was there, something heavy enough to dip the bed. A breath followed next, warm, so close it stirred the fine hairs along the back of my neck. I clenched the sheets in my hands, my knuckles white, trying not to gasp. The smell came with it, earthy, faintly sweet, intoxicating. Not cologne, not anything human. It filled my lungs until I felt lightheaded, as if the room itself was pulling me deeper into its grasp. I thought I had imagined it until my shirt lifted, slowly, deliberately, as though unseen fingers had caught the hem and were teasing it upward. The cool air kissed across my lower back, sending a shiver racing down my spine. My breath faltered. I wanted to scream, to tell it to stop, but my lips refused to move. Instead, I lay there, helpless, waiting. And then I felt it, a whisper of fingers tracing along my hip, pausing at the curve of my waist. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. It wasn't rough. It wasn't violent. It was worse. It was intimate, possessive, like it already knew it owned me. For a moment, I convinced myself that if I stayed still, if I didn't react, it would pass. But then the mattress shifted again, heavier this time. I could feel it, kneeling closer, hovering above me. My bent leg trembled, my body tightening, torn between terror and something else I hated to admit. That's when I realized the night was only beginning. The pressure on the mattress deepened, each shift slow and deliberate, as though the unseen presence wanted me to feel every ounce of its weight. My breath quickened, shallow and uneven, the silence of the room broken only by the pounding in my chest. I couldn't see it, but I knew exactly where it was, hovering just inches above me, watching, breathing, waiting. A hand, at least that's what it felt like, traced the line of my bent leg. The touch wasn't random. It was purposeful, exploring the curve of my thigh, pausing just long enough to send a spark racing through my skin. squeezed my eyes shut tighter, torn between the need to move and the strange, dangerous pull to stay still. My mind screamed, "This can't be real," and yet my body told a different story. Then, a breath washed over the back of my neck, warm, intentional. My entire body stiffened, and yet I didn't pull away. I felt my own heartbeat in my throat, heavy and relentless. The presence lingered there, close enough that the pillow beneath me shifted with the faint stir of air. Ama asıl şok edici olan şey, I thought. Didn't stop there. The touch slid higher, slipping along my hip, tracing the exposed line where my shirt had ridden up. My skin tingled violently, every nerve alight. I wanted to cry out, to end it, but instead I arched ever so slightly, my body betraying me again. That intoxicating scent grew stronger, filling my lungs until it was the only thing I could taste. Earthy, sweet, possessive. The mattress dipped near my waist, the weight heavier now, undeniable. I knew what it meant. It wasn't hovering anymore. It was lowering itself closer, as if preparing to settle against me. My bent leg shifted on its own, opening further, as if unseen hands guided it. My pulse spiked, my breath hitched. I was frozen, caught between fear and an unspoken anticipation I couldn't name. The whisper came next, not words I could understand, but a sound, low, steady, resonant. It brushed against my ear so close it almost tickled. My skin erupted in goosebumps, my lips parting as I tried to breathe. The sound wasn't threatening. It wasn't kind either. It was something else, something that made me feel claimed. And just when I thought I could take no more, I felt it again. Fingers, or something like them, running slowly across the small of my back, lingering there, pressing just enough to make me shiver. It wasn't random. It wasn't meaningless. It was deliberate. The realization crashed into me like ice. This presence wasn't exploring me out of curiosity. It already knew me. But what it wanted, I still didn't know. And that was the most terrifying part. The room felt smaller now, like the walls were leaning inward, trapping me inside with something I couldn't see but could feel on every inch of my skin. The weight on the mattress pressed down harder, right against my waist, and my chest tightened with each shallow breath I forced out. I knew I should move, scream, fight back, but all I could do was tremble beneath the invisible presence that had made me its focus. Then it happened. My shirt, already bunched up around my ribs, shifted higher, slowly, deliberately. Cold air licked across my stomach, making my skin tighten and my pulse spike. I gripped the pillow in front of me, biting down on my lip to keep from gasping, and still, I could feel it, something warm hovering close to my back, its breath ghosting across my spine in steady waves. I thought I had reached my limit. I thought nothing could make the moment heavier, but I was wrong. The voice came again. This time it wasn't a whisper. It was a word, clear, low, and terrifyingly close to my ear. Mine. The single word shattered me. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a threat. It was a claim. My bent leg, still raised awkwardly on the mattress, was tugged just slightly, repositioned by a force I couldn't fight. My body opened further, exposed, helpless. The air itself seemed to vibrate around me as if the presence had become part of the room, part of the bed, part of me. I squeezed my eyes shut, silently begging it to stop, but my body betrayed me again. A shudder ran through me, hot and undeniable, and the moment it did, the warmth vanished. The pressure lifted from the mattress. The breath at my ear disappeared. The scent that had filled my lungs faded like smoke blown out by the wind. For a long moment, There was only silence, heavy, crushing, absolute. I dared to open my eyes, and what I saw nearly broke me. At the foot of the bed, pressed into the blanket, were 2 deep indentations, knees, perfectly clear, perfectly still, and then they shifted. I froze, my breath locked in my throat. The indentations dragged forward, slow and deliberate, inching closer toward me. But before they reached my legs, they stopped. The mattress smoothed itself out, the marks vanishing as if they had never been there. The silence returned, but the air still buzzed with something unseen. I wasn't alone. Not really. I never would be again. Even now, every time I close my eyes, I wait for that same word to echo against my ear. I wait for the weight to return to my bed. And deep down, I know it will. Because once you've been touched by something like this, it never lets you go. Have you ever felt something or someone touch you when you knew you were alone? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Paranormal Sleep for more chilling encounters.